I think it would take a few rounds.
Really?
But yeah. First of all, Jake is a lot bigger. Jake's a lot bigger.
But what weight would they? What weight would they fight?
Well,
at?
I don't think Jake is getting anywhere lower than 205 pounds.
There's a few Americans, and this might be crazy, I think Jake Paul's got a chance. And I know that sounds crazy, but I do think that there are, where I don't believe anyone over here thinks this goes more than around 2.
Joe Rogan reacts with surprise to Jake Paul's transformed physique ahead of the Anthony Joshua fight, noting how sharply focused and prepared Jake looks. He points out that Jake has faced real fighters before, even if some were nearing retirement, and still pushed himself through serious training. Rogan adds that Joshua getting closer to 40 changes the dynamic of the matchup, making the entire event more intriguing. He says he genuinely wants to see how this showdown unfolds.
I like a little freak show every now and then. As far as, like, would you like to see...
I like
Jake
a
Paul,
lot of freak show.
Look, if Jake Paul wants to fight for the title, I would like to see him beat top contenders in the light heavyweight division or whatever division he chooses to compete at, and then eventually fight for a title. Yeah.
But are the fights even real? Like the Tyson fight? Like I saw video breakdowns of...
Jake Paul's latest physical transformation has triggered a surge of reactions across the combat sports world. The short clip circulating online shows a fighter who appears sharper, denser, and far more conditioned than in any previous camp. His posture, the tightness in his movements, and the confidence in his presence all suggest someone preparing for the most significant challenge of his career. With Anthony Joshua waiting across from him in the near future, this version of Jake feels like a direct response to those who once dismissed him as a sideshow. He looks determined to prove he belongs on a stage traditionally reserved for elite professionals. Fans have noted how drastically his physique has evolved in such a short period, signaling that this camp is built on seriousness rather than showmanship. Former world champion Andre Berto adds an interesting dynamic to the conversation. While he admits most people want to see Joshua deliver a dominant knockout, he explains that the situation is not as simple as it appears on paper. Joshua hasn't produced many standout performances recently, and Berto suggests that this inconsistency makes the matchup less predictable. Meanwhile, Jake is backed by a strong team of experienced trainers, pushing him to maximize his youth, strength, and conditioning. Berto's view is that although many expect a one-sided fight, the outcome depends heavily on which version of Anthony Joshua steps into the ring. With Jake improving and staying disciplined, Berto believes this clash genuinely has the potential to swing in either direction.
Like, you one of the first ones, and he gonna always take care of Bert. Yeah. But then Floyd was as massive as he was. Yeah. So how you split, how you do that?
No, I mean one thing with Al's always gonna, you know, he got loyalty to, he got big loyalty to Floyd as well. Yeah, because they made so much money together. But, you know, it's funny how, he can say whatever he want to say. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how that, how the fight got, it kind of came about. But they had the Pacquiao and Floyd fight. We all go up there. We check the fight out. Good situation. And then just me and my lady, we walking through the casino. What's his name? Rodney Jerkins.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Rodney Jerkins, big music producer. Yeah. Y'all talk to him and ask him. Yeah. Rodney Jerkins.
Some analysts take a more economical view of Jake Paul's preparation, focusing on his sparring sessions with heavyweight fighters and the mutual benefits these matchups offer. For Jake, working with larger opponents helps him experience the kind of power he may face against Joshua, pushing him to handle pressure, adjust his timing, and stay composed under heavy fire. For the heavyweights, the real advantage comes financially. Training with a high-profile figure like Jake means a sizable payday, far more than what they would earn in a typical camp. These sparring rounds become both a learning experience and a lucrative opportunity, creating a dynamic where everyone involved walks away with something valuable.
work. But what is in that for Lawrence Okoli, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson?
Easy money. I don't know how much he'll be paying sparring partners. I assume to get those caliber of sparring partners in, it's got to be big money.
Lawrence Okoli's got a fight coming up. If you're Joe Gallagher, are you go spar Jake Paul? Is that going to help you?
No, absolutely not. Are you going to get a bit of profile from it, perhaps? People are going to hear your name.
Yeah.
Does that help? I remember going to spar with Kessler, and I got £500 or euros for the week. It was the hardest money I've ever earned in my life.
But how much did you learn from?
Yeah, me, bundles.
Yeah. What's Okoli learn? I don't get it.
No.
I mean, I do get it, the money. But when you got a fight coming up, I'm thinking, really? Are you going to get anything out of that sparring that's going to help you in your fight? Maybe you are. Maybe I'm just completely diminishing Jake Paul's ability, but I'm struggling. I really am.
Fair play to Jake Paul. I mean...
And you're right, there's a bit of a conflict there because Joshua used to manage him.
Yeah, it was through 258, right?
Yeah. But surely they're smashing him to pieces. Surely Jake's going, oh, what the fuck? This is fucking horrible.
Every single one of those three fighters there are not...
Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen provide a different angle, shifting the focus onto Anthony Joshua. They argue that Joshua must enter this fight fully aware of what he represents. For them, this matchup is not just about winning, but about protecting the reputation of boxing itself. With Joshua competing on a massive streaming platform like Netflix, millions of casual viewers will be watching, and many will judge the strength of the sport based on his performance. Schaub and Callen insist that Joshua must treat this fight as a statement, walking in with clarity, discipline, and determination to show the world why he remains one of boxing's biggest names. They stress that this is not the night for hesitation or doubt.
Again, if mentally he's not like, all right, I got a job to do, I'm representing boxing, a lot of American fans don't know me, this will be the most watched thing on fucking Netflix ever for sports-wise, so I got to make a good, showing. Hopefully he has that approach. I assume he does. Because he did with Francis, he was like, nah, bitch, the train stops here.
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury's a little more of a character. Hey, wow, what are we going to do? Let's move around a little bit.
I remember when he caught Klitschko with that uppercut, Anthony Joshua.
And he got caught. He got set down.
Klitschko, yes. And Klitschko is a big man. You're just dealing with literally a different ecosystem, man.
But that's what makes it, that's why it's a brilliant move by Jake. Because his fan base is like, oh my God, Jake, it's David versus Goliath, literally. It's this YouTuber Disney kid. Look how far he's come. He's actually going to do it. What if he wins? So there's that demo of his. And then there's the rest of the world who go, and they're so off on this, but they go, we got to get Jake Paul out of boxing. I can't wait to see his head get knocked off by Anthony Joshua. And that's the majority, right? So those two worlds mix, and you get the most watched boxing match on Netflix ever. More so than Mike Tyson at fucking 77 in a fake sparring match. This, So if you're Jake, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so let's go through it. Let's say Jake gets knocked out.
Sports analyst Ade Oladipo broadens the discussion by highlighting the adjustments Joshua has made in his training approach. He notes that Joshua has shifted his style, refined his rhythm, and taken this matchup extremely seriously. At the same time, Oladipo suggests that Jake is not coming in blind. Knowing Joshua is making changes, Jake has likely adjusted as well, experimenting with a new style, expanding his techniques, and polishing the details that could give him an edge. Oladipo believes Jake understands that this opportunity demands his best version, and because both men are reinventing themselves for this matchup, he gives Jake a real chance to create a moment that shocks everyone.
So AJ's taking it that serious. He's now training with the Usyk camp, not just for your fight, but for fights going forward. This isn't AJ saying, okay, you know what, I'm just going to train myself. Just get in shape and maybe just train with my amateur coach. This is AJ saying, no, we're going to train with Usyk's team. And I'm basically meaning, or I'm saying, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. You want me to get down to 245 pounds? No problem. We've done that before, and that was one of my best performances before. Obviously, I'm talking about AJ versus Usyk too. So, I still can't believe it's happening, but it is happening. It will do incredible numbers. I've said that I think it will do numbers as big as Canelo Crawford. Some people have laughed at that. Don't laugh, honestly, because Canelo Crawford over here, it would have been a small, minute percentage of people that would have watched it on Netflix over here. AJ fighting over here, everyone's watching it. Everyone's watching it. Everyone's watching it in Africa because that's the impact AJ has. And obviously everyone's going to be watching it in America because of Jake Paul. And then because of how that photo looked. Again, David versus Goliath. People are now way more intrigued than they were for Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. So, I'm intrigued as to how it looks in the first 20 seconds. And then I'll be able to just make my mind up as to how long this goes. But I will still stand firm and say AJ should, not will, should get rid of Jake Paul in one round. Should. And if he doesn't, then...
On Boxing Scene today, analysts described this fight as one of the boldest decisions Jake Paul has ever made. They noted that he could have chosen easier opponents and continued building his record slowly. Instead, he chose to challenge a former heavyweight champion known worldwide for his knockout power and technical skill. This decision exposes him to enormous risk, but also offers unprecedented reward. If Jake performs well, even in defeat, public perception shifts permanently. If he wins, the entire boxing landscape changes. These analysts emphasize that Jake's willingness to take such a dangerous fight shows how committed he is to carving out a real place for himself in the sport.
And really had everyone questioning Tyson Fury's ability because he struggled with an MMA fighter in his pro boxing debut. Anthony Joshua didn't do that. He went out there and did what we all expected Tyson Fury to do and completely wiped the floor with the guy. And if Joshua doesn't do that this fight, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's going to hurt his stock. It's going to hurt the way that people perceive him moving forward. And also, I think, honestly, and if he doesn't go out there and just lay into Jake Paul and end it in the first, if not second round, to me, it's gonna look fishy to me. It's gonna look like this was a setup, this was an exhibition, this wasn't a real fight. If this is a real fight, it should be over in 90 seconds because Anthony Joshua is a legit gold medalist, super heavyweight, crazy athlete, awesome power, and Jake Paul just isn't on that level in any way. And he's not and he's undersized. You know, Jake Paul was fighting a cruiserweight in his last fight. He was under 200 pounds. You know, Joshua is a legit 250 pounds with abs, and the guy punches with the right hand like a cannon.
The one advantage Jake Paul has had in previous fights, and we all know people who have worked with him, and they go, he's got natural power. He can hit pretty well for his size. Not elite, right? Not world championship, but he can hit pretty well for his size. Paulie, that one advantage that he's had in previous fights is completely gone in this one. Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, I still think Jake can hit a little bit.
Yeah,
he may be able, if you hit Joshua on the chin, you can hurt him. But that's been what if Mike Tyson?
You gotta
lands,
get there, Chad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What if Mike Tyson lands on Jake? What if Arturo Gatti would have hit Floyd Mayweather? I can remember that.
Sean Jones, the analyst, examines the marketing strategy behind Jake's career and notes that Jake continues using the YouTuber Fighting Anthony Joshua label because it boosts interest and sells the narrative. But behind this public image, he is no longer the inexperienced amateur people once dismissed. He has faced several credible opponents, built a structured training system, and transformed himself into a legitimate professional athlete. These analysts argue that he still plays up the entertainer angle on purpose, knowing it attracts attention and increases viewership. But the core of his identity has shifted. The man preparing for Joshua is no longer just an online personality, but a committed boxer with real, developed skills.
My last video saying, how dare you say Jake Paul is a decent boxer? You've got to remember, when I say Jake Paul is decent, I'm not talking about within the context of being a world champion. I'm just talking about he's learned to box pretty okay, better than most people. He has actually beaten a couple pro boxers. Now, I know once again, we have the caveat that, the last pro boxer he fought wasn't a full-time boxer, hadn't fought in a couple of years, and his last two fights were losses. I get it, but he has still fought like 2 or 3 pro boxers, so he can box. But there are different levels to being able to box. Everyone can box. It's just to what level. Jake Paul has been doing this since, was it 2018, his first fight, or 2019? We're going into 2026. It's like 6 years, 7 years. He's been training consistently with a good team. How do you Jake Paul haters not understand that? Even you, if you trained for that long and you've got millions of dollars sparring pro fighters in your fight camps, you're going to get pretty decent. Oh my God, it's not hard to understand. Try and drop the narrative that I hate Jake Paul so much, he's this, he's that, he's a knobhead, he can't box. Yeah, he might be a knobhead, he might be a divvy, but he can box. But I'm not saying he can box to the level of Joshua. Fucking hell, listen.
Combat analyst Luke Thomas breaks down the matchup with a technical eye, emphasizing that Joshua is not just a massive athlete, he is a highly skilled one. His experience allows him to read patterns, anticipate intentions, and apply pressure with strategic precision. According to Thomas, Joshua's greatest threat comes from his intelligence in the ring. He knows how to dismantle an opponent piece by piece, controlling distance, timing counters, and forcing mistakes. Thomas believes Jake must prepare to face not only raw power, but a methodical, tactical fighter who has spent years at the top of the heavyweight division. For Jake to survive, he must stay disciplined, avoid reckless exchanges, and fight with calculated patience.
Weight. Now, he is coming off of a devastating KO loss himself to another big heavyweight named Daniel Dubois. This was a big show. But Jake Paul, while, has a decent pop for a guy who has not been doing boxing that long, it's almost incomprehensible. This is the kind of thing the state would never have regulated before. They now seem much more open to it than they ever once were. But I also think that there might be something happening, and this is, I'm speculating. I want to be clear. I'm not giving you skinny, but I don't understand how you can go from a bout with a guy that you are massively oversized against, who's very good, to one who you are massively undersized against, who's also very good, who's a devastating, dangerous puncher. It's like, does he owe Netflix something? Is he feeling the heat to produce for them because the Gervonta fight kind of fizzled out for all the reasons that it did? I honestly don't know, but I'm not even doing a bit here. I'm legitimately concerned for his health.
It looks like Rocky's facing off Ivan Drago. When you look at their picture standing, it looks like something that's cinematic that you'd be like, that would never happen in boxing.
Right. Honestly, maybe even a little bit worse than that, just in terms of the size of Anthony Joshua. I want to make a caveat. I've been covering this industry for so long that I've just seen so many crazy things happen that, yes, we cannot rule out the possibility that Jake Paul could win here. Again, he's got a little bit of pop, and Anthony Joshua is coming off of a devastating KO loss. But the difference...
Michael Bisping offers a perspective focused on entertainment value. He acknowledges that many critics dislike the matchup, believing the skill gap is too wide. Yet he points out that this very controversy will drive massive viewership. He compares it to the Tyson versus Jake event, which, despite widespread criticism, drew enormous numbers because people tuned in anyway. Bisping expects this fight to follow the same pattern. The mix of curiosity, debate, and spectacle will attract viewers eager to see if Jake can actually hold his own against someone as established as Joshua. In Bisping's view, the public will be unable to resist watching how it unfolds.
Tuned in to watch that, okay? And that was an exhibition, and that's what this will probably be. I mean, it's like Thunderlips versus Rocky back in the day. Remember Thunderlips, played by Hulk Hogan?
Thunderlips is here, in the flesh, baby.
Oh my God. Right? He goes up against Rocky Balboa, Rocky 3, by the way. Love the Rocky movies, some of the best boxing films of all time. And what happens? Thunderlips is going absolutely mental in the ring, okay? He's trying to kill Rocky Balboa. Picks him up, throws him out the ring. Rocky gets in there having a good old-fashioned tear-up. And then at the end of it, Thunderlips wants a picture because it was all bullshit. Okay, it was all an exhibition. It was all for the fans, okay?
While you're still calm, can we get that Polaroid together? Yeah, sure.
And that's all this is, okay? Granted, I don't know. Maybe they come out and they say, oh, no, this is legit. This is a real sanctioned heavyweight boxing matchup. I don't think they will, but if...
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.